Okay, forgive me. Now I've got my camera focused a little bit better. And now I've actually got this one figured out. Jason is 3 years less than half his brother's age. Jason is 13 years old, so we can cross that out and put a 13 there. So we got 13 equals 1 over 2b minus 3. And what this is asking for is there an equation that I could write that could help me find his brother's age? Now, are we looking for his brother's age? Well, not necessarily, but this equation could help us find it. We could solve for b, because Jason is 13 years old. And we also know that he is 3 years less than half his brother's age. And this equation will help us figure out exactly how old his brother is. Now this one, for both my advanced class and my regular class, you will have a multiple choice option on that one, because that one again is very, very difficult. Number 4, Jennifer's tennis racket costs 5% more than Carl's tennis racket. Jennifer's racket cost $126. Write an equation that can be used to find the cost of Carl's tennis racket. So what we're going to say here is Jennifer's tennis racket costs 5% more than Carl's tennis racket. So we can simply say Carl's, and we can pick whatever variable we want, but obviously the C is the more logical choice. And we would multiply it by 1.05 equals $126. Now the reason why we do this is anytime we want to say, well, Carl's racket cost a certain amount, let's say it was $10. If we said Jennifer's racket was 5% more, we would multiply that by 1.05. 1 for the initial cost, or the beginning cost of Carl's tennis racket, plus the additional 5%, which can be represented by this decimal. Or you could think of it like this. We have Carl's racket, which is essentially 1C because the coefficient there is 1, plus Carl's racket times 0.05 equals 126. Well, the better way to write this is C plus 0.05C, because aren't we multiplying and the coefficient will come first, equals 126. Well, we could combine like terms here. What is the coefficient for C? It's 1. And if we can combine these like terms, it's going to be 1.05C equals 126. Now we've got an equation where we can solve for C and figure out what Carl's tennis racket cost. Nigel went to an ice skating rink and paid, it should be paid, that'll be fixed on your paper, paid $5 for admission, plus an additional $2.50 per hour to rent some skates. And the total cost was $15. Write an equation that represents this situation. What was the total cost? The total cost would be $15. Nigel went to an ice skating ring and paid $5 for admission, plus $2.50 per hour. Okay? And the total cost, therefore, was $15. So basically what we have is you're going to get charged $2.50 an hour to rent skates, plus the initial cost of $5 just to come in the door equals $15. Who had 4, that should be R, and that'll be fixed on your version, R. Lou had R rocks in his collection. He separated these rocks into 5 equal piles. He now has 8 rocks in each pile. Write an equation that represents this situation. Well, if I had, 40 rocks, and I wanted to divide them into 5 equal piles, wouldn't I say 40 divided by 5, and then I would get 8 for each one? Okay. Well, I don't know 40. All I know is that he had R rocks. And if I want to divide those into 5 equal piles, I simply divide by 5. He now has 8 rocks in each pile. R over S, and that's an S, not a, R over 5, please forgive me. R over 5 equals 8. To figure out how many is in each pile. Maggie bought a sweater that cost D dollars and she paid the clerk $20. Then she got $9.14 in change. Write an equation that represents this situation. Simply what we do here, anytime we're talking about paying a cashier and figuring out what change is, we take what we paid with, we subtract what we actually paid, which in this case is D. We don't have a number. It's an unknown number represented by a letter, which is a variable. And our change is $9.14. So if I had $50 and I had paid X dollars for a sweater, or I'm sorry, if I had paid with a 50, but the sweater was actually X dollars, we would say 50 minus X equals $9.14. But in this situation here, we say, hey, we paid the clerk with $20. We paid, the sweater was this much, and this was our change. Kevin sold 4 times as many tickets as Alice. If Kevin sold 48 raffle tickets in all, write an equation that can be used to find the number of tickets Alice sold. Okay? Kevin sold 4 times Kevin equals 4 times Alice. 4A. Well, if Kevin actually sold 48, we can cross that out and say 48 equals 4A, or reverse it and say 4A equals 48, and that's an A, not a 9. Forgive my bad handwriting. Now, if you look at the equation again when you're done, it makes it a lot simpler. Kevin sold 4 times as many tickets as Alice. 4 times the number that Alice sold. If we know that Kevin sold 48, that 4 times Alice is going to equal 48. Write an equation that can be used to find the number of Alice sold. So now we've got an equation that can help us solve for A. Again, we'll teach you how to do that later. This season, the number of points Reggie scored was 26 less than 5 times the number Larry scored. Reggie scored 46 points this season. The equation below represents this situation. What does the N represent? Well, let's take a look. This season, the number of points Reggie scored, and this is how many Reggie scored, is 5 times the number Larry scored. 5 times. What do we multiply in 5 times? The number of points that Larry scored. So what does the N represent? It represents the number that Larry scored. John bought 5 books. Each book was the same price. After using a $10 off coupon, the total charge was $30. So we're going to say 5 books times some unknown number minus the $10 off coupon is going to give us a total cost of $30. Write an equation representing the situation using B as the number of books purchased. Here I used X, but B will be just fine. We'll put in a B here. It doesn't matter. So we're saying 5 books. I bought 5 books at however many dollars a piece. Minus a $10 off coupon gave me a total charge of $30. Okay. A rectangle has a length of X centimeters. Well, if it's a rectangle, this is going to be X as well. It also has a width of half its length. So how do we say half of X? We would say 1 over 2 times X. 1 over 2 times X. The perimeter of the rectangle is 30 centimeters. Write an equation representing this situation. Well, if we know the perimeter is 30 centimeters, we also know that in order to get the perimeter, we have to add this to this to this to this. So the perimeter is 30. And on this side, we have x plus 1/2 x plus another 1/2 x. Okay. Well, x plus x is 2x. And then 1/2 x plus 1/2 x is just x equals 30. Now, I might accept that, but you still need to make sure you combine like terms. In reality, you're going to have 3x equals 30. Jason bought 2 songbooks and a new guitar. So he bought 2 songbooks plus a guitar. The guitar was $150. So we know we're going to have something plus $150.10. And for a total of $210. Write an equation representing the situation. Well, we know we spent at least this much, and our total was $210. Jason bought 2 songbooks. So we're going to say 2S. 2 songbooks plus $150.10 for a total of $210. And number 13, I'm going to allow you to work on your own.